Is that move? Am I doing
Pretty
it?
cool.
I guess so. I can see your hands waving. I don't know if I'm in here or not. Alright.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jonathan Kennedy. In my speech, my drinking was killing me. Most people in this world have the ability to drink a drink or two and say that they've had enough. Well, I'm one of those blessed few that don't know when to say when. The National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependency and the American Society of Addiction Medicine defines alcoholism as a primary chronic disease characterized by impaired control over drinking, preoccupation with the drug alcohol, and the use of alcohol despite its adverse consequences and distortion in thinking. Today, I would like to talk about my drinking and how it was killing me. I had my first drink when I was 6 years old. It was given to me by my father. I remember this moment pretty well. The International Journal of Addiction says that the influence of a parent affects the attitude towards the adolescent's use of alcohol. The next thing I remember was drinking with my friends, hanging out in middle school. We would raid their parents' liquor cabinet. The thrill of the underage drinking was the motivation to do this. As I entered high school, the drinking became more frequent. By the end of my freshman year, I was drinking pretty much every weekend. I didn't care what I was drinking, just as long as I was drinking. When I was 19, I got my first job as a waiter in a restaurant. This was a relatively small restaurant, so we were all pretty close. After work, we'd all hang out and drink. So now I'm drinking pretty much every day. One of the guys that worked in the restaurant was cool, so he'd go to the liquor store for me whenever I wanted to. This was the time of my life when I started drinking every day. I can look back in retrospect and see that this is when everything started to revolve around alcohol, whether it was jobs, friends, relationships, or activities. When I was 24, I got married, and I was able to slow down my drinking a little bit, but that didn't last very long. I started hiding my alcohol in the garage. This started off mostly as cases of beer. But after a while, I realized that half gallons of liquor was a lot more effective. Needless to say, my marriage didn't last very long. Don't get me wrong, I was responsible. I was able to go to work and take care of my kids, but at the end of the day, I drank myself to oblivion. By this time in my life, alcohol was the proverbial carrot that I would run to. Over the next 8 years, jobs changed, relationships changed, and friends changed. The only thing that stayed constant was my drinking. Actually, that changed because it evolved into an all-day event. The first thing I would do when I woke up was drink. Then I'd go to work and I'd drink there. Then I'd come home and drink until I passed out. A 2002 study by the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism surveyed a group of 4,422 adults meeting the criteria for alcohol dependency, and found that after 1 year, some of those met the author's criteria for low-risk drinking, even though only 25% of this group received any treatment, which break down the following. 25% was still dependent, 27.3% were still in partial remission, partial symptoms still persisted, 11.8% consumption increased the chance of relapse, and 35% were fully recovered. This takes me up to 2007, January. I had been drinking all day and decided to go for a drive, something I had done 1,000 times. I got pulled over and arrested with a BAC of .26, that's more than 3 times the legal limit, and went to jail. When I got my car out, after it had been towed by the cops, I got in my car and started driving. When I looked over, I saw a plastic water bottle that was filled with vodka that I had left. I drank the vodka on the way home without a second thought. On the way home from jail after being arrested for a DUI. After 2 weeks later, I had been drinking all day again and got the urge to go for a drive. Needless to say, I got pulled over again, went back to jail with a BAC of .22. This is when I gave up. I decided that my drinking was killing me and that I needed to do something about it or I was going to kill myself or somebody else. The next day I went on the waiting list to stay at a halfway house. and 2 weeks later I was accepted. I lived at this halfway house for 2 years. Aside from my 2-year tour at rehab, I was also sentenced to 2 years house arrest and 6 years probation. Now, my visual aid is my lovely accessory, which is my house arrest bracelet. Goes with me wherever I go. Thank God. I think people would be upset about this outcome, but I'm not. I've learned to live my life sober and how to cope with life on life's terms. I just celebrated 2 years sobriety, and I'm proud of myself. I've turned my life around, regained the respect of my family and my friends. I attend church regularly. I think it's necessary to thank the one that keeps me sober. Granted, every day is not perfect, but I know at the end of the day I'm still sober. That's all that really counts. Thomas Fuller said that wine has drowned more men in the sea. Sir Walter Scott said that of all vices, drinking is the most incapable with greatness. Seneca said that drunkenness is nothing but voluntary madness. In conclusion, I'm not here to tell you that drinking is bad for everyone. I'm just one of those lucky few that's an alcoholic. I know that if I have a drink, that it's nothing but a death sentence. Whether it be slow or fast, at the end of the day, I know I'll be dead. Thank you.